This is a story based on something that really happened in my hometown. In consideration for the spiritual damage it might cause, all of the pictures used here are free materials. They have nothing to do with the real story. And if you want to see the real thing after hearing this story, then please do so at your own risk. We accept no responsibility for what might happen to you, if that's what you decide. Please keep that in mind. Apparently, there are people who have seen fireballs floating around there. Apparently, there's a man standing there late at night. The strange rumours about that place were endless and had existed since I was in elementary school. If someone ever started telling scary stories, you could be guaranteed that it would pop up. And the most famous of all was, "If you touch it, you'll be cursed." That was what they said. It was so famous that there wasn't anyone around our town who hadn't heard of it. It was more than just a simple story spoken of in whispers. People called it the Cursed Lantern, and it was located by an intersection that you might see in any town. There was a large bookstore nearby, as well as a supermarket and bowling alley, so the intersection saw a lot of traffic. It was placed in such an unnatural location that people who didn't know and saw it would no doubt wonder why it was there. There were several memorial markers by the lantern to remember those who had died because of it, so at night time it was especially creepy. There were, of course, people who contacted the city hall to ask why the lantern wasn't removed. And it was more than just a few voices. The city also wanted to get rid of it. They had tried numerous times in order to expand the road. But they wouldn't, or rather, they couldn't get rid of it. Whenever they tried, something unfortunate would befall the workers. One time, one of the workers trying to remove the lantern died in an accident. Another time, the workers' storehouse went up in flames. But that's not all. A local from the neighbourhood readied themselves for death when they repaired the lantern, and, the following year, they died. A child who touched the lantern for fun died in a car accident. I've heard that those who mess around and touch the lantern later end up dying. And for some reason, there are a lot of car accidents near the lantern, despite there being a wide open view of the road. The city even invited a spirit medium to check it out, but that spirit medium was also done in. Such incidents continued to the point where both contractors and city workers didn't want to deal with the thing anymore. July 2009. There was an incident where somebody destroyed the top of the lantern. The city drew up plans to fix it and tried to contract some workers. Yet there wasn't a single company that would take on the job. Because they all feared the curse. And so, at the then mayor's suggestion, they opened the job up to the public. The mayor also acknowledged the existence of the cursed lantern and, in August the same year, proposed his idea to turn the cursed lantern into a happy lantern. Yet, there were still a few companies on board with the name change. It was also unknown what happened to the person who destroyed the top of the lantern. I heard that the person died, but that might also just be a rumour. So then, how did this curse begin? Word on the streets was that the lantern is on former execution grounds, and so the grudges of all those who died there now reside in it. But there's another interesting story as well. We have to go all the way back to the Edo period. One day, a traveller passed out on the road. He called out for help to those around him numerous times, but there wasn't a single person who stopped to help him. Perhaps they were cautious because of an epidemic that was going around. Losing hope, the man's feelings turned to hatred towards the people. He was on the verge of losing consciousness. "If you don't want to touch me, then don't." He muttered a curse and then died. And the spot where he fell is where the lantern now stands. After that, it was said that if you touched that lantern, you would be cursed. That's how the story goes. There are city records stating that the lantern was built in 1847. It was also recorded in local history that a single stone lantern was built because somebody sold the regular night lantern. In addition, there was also talk that the lantern was built because strange things kept happening, such as people seeing the man's spirit or somebody grabbing their shoulder after his death. But that's all we know at this point in time. It's also not clear who exactly controls the lantern. And so, whether this story is true or not is also unclear. Let's come back to the present. 2014, 5 years after the lantern was partly destroyed. Numerous locals called out for the lantern to be removed, and so again, the city reluctantly got to work. The city appealed for any contractors who would like to take on the job of removing the lantern and widening the road. And finally, one company put up their hand. What heroes! They summoned a different spirit medium to the previous time and performed a cleansing ritual before starting work. It was said that this spirit medium was also prepared to die when they went over to start work. Whether the prayers of the mayor and locals got through or if the medium's ritual actually worked is unknown, but the lantern was successfully removed without incident. And now, the lantern is no more, and it's nothing more than an intersection you might find anywhere. There was no news of anything bad happening to the workers after that either. However, it's unknown whether the curse itself is also entirely gone. Even though we can no longer see it, it might still be there. If it wasn't just the lantern, but that entire location itself that was stained, then... Postscript. Thank you for playing this game. My name is Akasuzu. How was it? Did you enjoy it? When I was a child, my grandmother often told me that I shouldn't touch that lantern. In reality, there were no locals who ever even tried to touch it. That's how much they feared the curse of the lantern, and how famous the story was. That's why, even when it was broken, there was still nobody who wanted to touch it. They couldn't even touch a broken shard of it, they were so scared. The then mayor really did well dealing with it. I think not just the locals, but people who used that path were happy from the bottom of their hearts. I sometimes used to pass by the lantern in my car as well, and I was honestly relieved when I heard it had been removed. There were some people, those interested in the occult, who wanted to touch it, but messing around with stuff like that out of fun is the most dangerous thing of all. It's just like visiting a haunted house or ghost spot. If you go and stir the spirits up, then of course they will get angry at you. Anyone would get upset if they were suddenly awoken from their peaceful sleep, and spirits were once people like us, after all. It's just like the saying, "Let sleeping dogs lie." So everyone, let's be careful regarding such matters, okay? Oh yeah. I don't think anything will happen, but just in case, please take care. A story is just a story, after all. I pray that nothing bad will happen to you, too. If you are alive, then let's meet again someday. See you later.